Do you choose you? In all honesty, at such a core level. The day that I chose me was the day that my resilience came in. A lot of the work that I have done for myself, I now work with others. My identity, who am I? Who do I choose to be in every moment? For so much of my life, I felt like I had to fit in. I had to behave a certain way, and I had to make sure that I wasn't upsetting anybody. Now, having neurodivergent traits, that's not always easy because I miss social cues. I sit back and I want to understand more about human behavior. It's something that I am passionate about, hence why I've done courses in a little bit in counseling, and I've studied some courses in behavioral profiling, and it fascinates me, the psychology of human beings. And I'll always continue to learn that. But as I started learning it for myself so that I could understand other people. But family, friends are so important to me, like I'm sure they are for you. And at some point along the way, I continued to choose everybody else. I felt these expectations on who I had to be. And the more I felt into the expectations of other people, and I took on their expectations of how life should be and what I should do and where I should go and what I should eat and all of that, I lost my own identity. Along with the trauma that I've gone through in my life, I lost my identity because I put my identity in the hands of other people. And I wasn't being the empowered woman that I could be. I know who I am. I just wasn't being myself because I couldn't fully accept that people might not like me if I chose me. But the day that I did choose me, the day that I said, you know what, I am an amazing person. I could look myself in the mirror and say, Jackie, you are an amazing person, and you bring so many valuable, amazing things to the life of other people. Think about the difference that you've made. Think about the fact that people write to you after they've read your book, Empowering Me, which is all around neurodiversity, autism, and ADHD. They literally write to you to say, your book has helped me. So yes, you have worth and you have value, you always have had, but you haven't chose to embrace that until now. And I encourage you to stop and think about, are you choosing you, or are you choosing aspects of yourself to please other people? Are you putting that mask on? Because after a while, putting the mask on continuously, it is you hiding a part of you. Now, sometimes we need to put the mask on in social settings of certain things, and having that mask on for a short period of time can be okay. But if you're constantly having to be in those social settings of putting on the mask and, smiling politely and, listening to other people thinking, I just want to get out of here. If you're doing that constantly, that will be exhausting to you, and that will eventually impact your health and your well-being. I know, I've been there. And one day I woke up and I said, why am I putting myself in these social settings all the time where I can't be me? Now, obviously we bring the best version of ourselves to social events, but what about relaxing? I had a friendship that we used to have some great times. However, it required a lot of me going to them. It required a lot of me listening to them at all hours of the day and night, fitting into their routines. And one day I was busy and I couldn't take the phone call. I was at work. I couldn't take the phone call. I was literally in meetings. And the messages that I got from this person and maybe you've had this experience too, was, why aren't you answering your phone? I really need to talk to you right now. Things are not going right. I'm stressed, I'm anxious. Why aren't you calling? And they called me like 20 times. Pick up the phone, answer the phone. I really need you now. Now, all of this was going on while I'm in a meeting with a client. My phone, my personal phone, was nowhere near me. It was in the drawer, in my bag, on silent. I wasn't getting those phone calls, like knowing that they were happening. Sure, my phone was getting them, I wasn't. My priority was my client. In fact, I didn't even know. I get to my phone. There are so many text messages. There are like, if you don't answer now, I'll never speak to you again, text messages. And I'm like, whoa. And it's the first time that I'd seen this behavior with this person. I'd seen them be annoyed with other people. And I looked at my phone and I felt sick to my stomach that I had let this person down. That's what I felt initially. And my boss came to me and said, are you okay? Because obviously I had a look about me. And I said, well, I've just come back from my desk from this meeting and my phone's just blown up. This person's rang me so many times. They've left me text messages. It's urgent. It's an emergency. And she said, well, you better call them back. So I called them back. And it was not an emergency. It was not a life-threatening situation. A relationship had broken down. Their partner had walked out. Their partner wasn't answering the phone. I need to talk to you. Like, that's what it was all about. Like I said, hey, I've got your multiple messages and phone calls. I was in a meeting. Yeah, but why didn't you answer the phone at the time? Because I was at work in a meeting. Now, when the tables had turned with a real emergency of, like there'd been this car accident and I was calling them to see if they could come pick me up. And, I've been taken to hospital, I've been in a car accident, and I've called them a couple of times to say, hey, are you able to, I've been in this car accident and I'm really shaken up by it and I'm being taken to hospital. I got a concussion and all of this. And they didn't answer the phone and they didn't call me back. And 2 days later, they've called me back and gone, hey, I haven't heard from you. And I'm like, well, I've been in hospital. I've had a car accident. And they go, oh, can you come to my house and help me with this? And I went, no, I've been in a car accident. I don't have a car. Oh, okay, well, never mind. And then slowly their phone calls stopped and slowly their text messages stopped because I wasn't there for them on their terms. I'm sure that at least one of you watching this video has been in that experience. I remember sitting there baffled, completely thrown by this. And as I said, I've done some studies in this behavioral psychology and I'm sitting there now. This person was allegedly my best friend at the time. And I remember sitting with another friend and they're saying, what's wrong? And I said, well, and I told them the whole story. I said, well, I was at work. I was expected to pick up the phone. Their partner had left, they were upset. They wanted to talk, but then they're wanting me to go pick them up. At another time, go pick them up to go out to dinner, but yet I've been in a car accident and they weren't there for the car accident and, all of this thing. And they said, well, it sounds like a very one-sided friendship. And when I sat back and thought about it, I thought, yeah, so I ended that friendship because when I sat back and thought about it all the time, it was all about them and on their timing, and they had no respect for when I was at work or when I was working with a client. And so years went by and this friendship had ended, but then they reappeared in my life as they did from time to time. And by this time, I'm doing my own business. And once again, the same behavior showed itself, except I caught it a lot quicker. And when I chose me and I said, hey, I'm working, I'm I'm not going to answer your call while I'm working. I'm not going to respond to a text message while I'm working. They couldn't accept that because it's, look at me, I'm amazing. You should drop everything for me because I'm amazing. And I remember thinking, wow. So setting healthy boundaries was quite hard because emotionally I'd sit back and think, am I doing the right thing? And people had said to me, you should always be there for your friends. You should always, make that effort and know that you're there for them, they're there for you. So sometimes we have these people come into our life, and I realized this person was a test to how I set my healthy boundaries and how much I actually choose me. Now, if you've been through this scenario, how did you handle it? Choosing you is about being able to sit back and say, okay, so these are my boundaries. This is the line in the sand. This is what I won't accept. Now, sometimes setting boundaries is much easier with some people than it is for others, but it always comes back to choosing you. Now, sometimes we may be in a situation where we don't want to upset someone because it might mean we have to move out of where we're living or something like that. And so sometimes there is that learning to have that give and take, but there's a difference between give and take and our boundaries being stepped over all the time. But one of the things I've noticed around when we choose ourselves, one thing I've noticed, and we set that healthy boundary, if the people are not used to it, if they don't understand what we do, how we do it, then they're going to keep stepping over that boundary. They're going to keep being annoyed or like interrupting, because if they can't understand or they've never experienced it or they've never seen this part of you, then setting the boundary is fine. It's the communication around it. So what I mean by that is you may be in a space with somebody and they haven't understood your work. They just go, oh yeah, they just do this. This is really good. But they don't understand. You can't just change appointments just to suit them. You have your client bookings, you can't change it. They might not understand that, it's a phone call or it's a video call and it may go for longer. So one example I had is that in a job I had to be on the phone, like on the computer, but it was on the phone nearly all day. And I said to, somebody that was in the house with me, I said, I've got to have a bit of quiet, or if you'll need the room that I'm in, like just, be a little quieter, that kind of thing, because I have to be on the call and the background noise gets picked up. But because the person hadn't ever had a job like that was like telehealth type of job, they didn't understand this whole being on the phone all the time. They didn't understand that when you're sitting there and you're on the phone, that this is actually work. And I said to the boss that I was working with when I was doing that particular job, I said, how do you explain it to the family members that are in the house? Because I had someone staying with me, and they said, yeah, it can be quite challenging when they don't understand it. So that scenario with setting those healthy boundaries comes down to that communication. And yes, there's a bit of give and take in a shared house, in a shared office space. There's always that bit of give and take. But one of the things is that if you don't know yourself and you don't know how you communicate, or how you might sound when you communicate, or how, if you're triggered, your communication style changes. If you don't understand that, then it makes it harder to be able to keep those boundaries in place. And that's one of the things I learned with this toxic friendship that I'd had, that very one-sided, all about them. And that's when I started to develop ISOL personality profiles. I sat back and I took some of the study that I'd done. I'd worked a little bit with a friend of mine who's a psychologist, and I said to him, after I developed it all, I said, one of the biggest things is that we can all set healthy boundaries, and we can all choose to be ourselves. Set those healthy boundaries and say, this is who I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. This is who I am, and I like this food, and I like to do that, and so on and so forth. But if we can't communicate that to other people, then how are they going to know? And how do we enforce, so to speak, or maybe implement's a better word, our healthy boundaries? And he said, well, it's not so much about knowing who we are. That's an important part. But it's understanding other people as well, and understanding their communication style. And it's a little bit like, there's a book, I forget the author's name, so I apologize in advance, but Love Languages. So some people express love by giving things. Some people express love by doing things. Some do give, like writing. Others are bigger gifts. Like I think there's 5 different love languages. I read the book a long time ago. I can't remember all of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 5 love languages. So the biggest thing is that if we, as a person, to connect with other people and set our healthy boundaries, knowing ourselves is really important. I stopped because I don't like to use words such as no, should, could, like need. I don't like those words a lot, because I want to bring it back to a choice. So the more I got to know myself and my triggers as part of my neurodivergent traits, the more I started to say, okay, so I don't like that, so if I'm triggered, this is what's going to happen. But trying to explain that to someone that's never seen it, doesn't know it, doesn't understand it, was really hard. So over the years, I started it about 10 years ago, maybe, it's probably longer than that now. I saw profiles, ISOAR, and then I added the E because it's all about empowerment. The biggest thing is that I came to learn that at my core, I am an innovator, and innovators often communicate in a big way, in the sense of, well, we're already kind of past where everyone else is at on a topic. We're already thinking ahead. So very visionary, very like it's advanced, isn't it? So if we're talking about going out, a visionary is very much like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? Okay, yeah, that will be that. Now parking, and kind of thinking like a lot of forward thinking, right? Now, a stabilizer personality is more about, okay, that sounds great. Yep. So unless there's a big objection, they're going to say, yeah, and they're going to agree all the way along. Yep, that sounds good, right? The objections might be, I don't like Thai food, I prefer Mexican, or whatever it is. I don't eat onions, I don't eat garlic, so maybe Italian's out, like whatever. But they're really about, finding that balance. But an adventure is like, well, we don't want to just do a restaurant. We want to do the whole bigger picture. So innovators and adventurers, when organizing an event, so much bigger. But the thing is, I digress a little bit. I'll bring it back to choosing who we are, choosing to know who we are, and then be who we are. Accepting all aspects of ourselves is very freeing. The challenge comes, right, when we maybe not sure of our communication style, and maybe not flexible in our communication style to make sure that our boundaries are respected. Choosing you is one thing, knowing you is one thing, being you is something else. And accepting you, and then accepting that not everybody's going to like you, and accepting that there's going to be opportunities for growth and change and all those kind of things. That's all there. That's all really good. But it's the healthy boundaries and implementing them, and then communicating them to other people. So for me, freedom came the day I said, I don't want to play by everybody else's rules. I will respect them. I will respect their boundaries. I will respect what is right for them. I will respect their space. But I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose to be me. And I'm going to accept that while I'm being me, not everybody's going to like it. And I'm going to use what I know about my communication skills, observe other people, and then learn to language my boundaries in a way that's right for me, but so they can understand. And by doing this, I have a little checklist that I go through. And in this checklist, I check in with myself first. How do I feel? Because I am very much an empathic person. Other people might go, I'm noticing this, and they're thinking, something's not right. Or they're seeing this behavior and they're like, there's just something about that behavior that's not okay. And there's a difference between listening and hearing. And the biggest thing that we can do is learn both those. So when we're communicating with someone else, hey, this is me. This is how I show up. I love wearing hoodies. I'm going to wear hoodies. I'll dress up for the, fancy restaurant. But most of the time, you're going to see me in hoodies because this is what I love. Is it professional? Is it how it should be? Okay, there's a certain work attire. I'll show up. But this is me. Or no, I love the really corporate outfits, or I love the really whatever. Dress your way. Be you. But don't apologize for it. Okay, choosing you means you don't have to apologize for being who you are unless you have actually caused harm to another. That's different. So this video is all about choosing you, knowing who you are, taking that moment and saying, yes, this is right for me. No, this isn't. And then putting in place those healthy boundaries. Understanding who you are at a core level and being who you are and accepting that you're not always going to get it right. You're accepting that other people are different and they're not all going to accept you is the most freeing thing that you can do. Now, I know this video has gone around and I've talked a lot, but if you really want to learn more about yourself, why not take our free quiz? It's at the end of the video. Give it a go. It's fun. And if nothing else, you will be reminded of who you are at a core level. And if you want to learn more, because a lot of this that's helped me is my unique success code. Knowing that blueprint that I follow for my business and I follow for my personal life, that has been the next best gift. Because it's drilling down into who I am at a core level and pulling on those traits and strengths to be me all the time, consistently me. And it's amazing when you do that, how much life is so much better. There's less stress when you do this. When you have your unique success code, that unique blueprint that's yours, and you implement it, oh my gosh, it is so freeing. Things happen, things work out, and you have this clarity and you have this confidence and this certainty so that you can implement your healthy boundaries with confidence. The first part is the clarity. The first part is knowing you, knowing the other person, and then communicating it because you are worth it. You really are. All right, the QR codes for the quizzes are at the end of this video. They're on a lot of our videos. They're also, if you're watching this on YouTube, they're in our description. So there's a set of links. They're in there as well. Completely free, obligation free. We also have, depending on when you watch this, but it will be released end of April, beginning of May, our memberships. We have 2 memberships available. One is just some additional content and videos, and then the other one is Empowered Life, and it works for business owners and individuals. So lots of audios. It's like having a coach in your pocket, lots of coaching strategies, and we break this down into personality profiles as well. So you might want to keep an eye out for those. And one's just additional content. It's not so ISIL driven, so to speak. All right. I hope this video has helped even one little bit for you. At the end of the day, choose you. Choose you, be you, and accept you, please, because you are amazing.